Hello and a very good evening. We are just one sleep away from the start of the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, the much awaited, the much anticipated, the much looked forward to event in the cricket calendar right now. Pat Cummins will be up against Jasprit Bumrah. Pat Cummins and company will be up against Jasprit Bumrah and company. Not often you see two fast bowlers putting their one hand on that trophy, but it was the case today when both of them posed for the trophy before attending their respective press conferences. It's a full panel today, and before I introduce them, I'll tell my viewers and all the people who are watching that we'll have a special guest today joining us some time from now. He's former India fielding coach R Sridhar. He definitely knows a thing or two about the team doing well down under. So let's welcome everyone today. We have a full panel, as I told you. Times of India Group Sports editor K. Srinivas Rao, ace reporters and editors Dwaipan Datta, and cricket journalist and author Chetan Narula should be joining us soon. I think he's already there. Yes, we have a full panel now. So before I take the leave, I think I should set the ball rolling for the show, gentlemen. Srini, just one sleep away. I think we should be in the bed in another 4 5 hours now. Mm, Looking to wake up on time for the first test. How excited are you for the start?
Well, I mean, BGT, as excited as it can get on a tour of Australia. It's just that, it's very twice back to back. We're following a team that has won in Australia back to back twice. So this time you're going to wake up with ideally, you should be waking up with a lot of positivity. And then the narrative that surrounds this team, I don't know, kind of. So it's a mixed reaction, but yeah, nothing in Test cricket excites you more than an India Australia. And India Pakistan probably would, but in the absence of that, nothing is bigger than India Australia, and rightly so. The way the series is being promoted, rightly so. I'm looking forward to listening to some Hindi commentary from Australia also.
Hindi commentary from Australia, and that brings me to the Hindi commentator who was in the studio today, Cheteshwar Pujara. A certain Nitin Nayak was missing him a lot, and if you have not read his story in today's edition of the Times of India, please do that. The Cheteshwar Pujara void we discussed this extensively yesterday, and Nitin summed it up perfectly in today's edition. Again, if you haven't read that, please do that. Nitin bhai, Cheteshwar Pujara isn't there, but KL Rahul will be there. Pujara, though surprisingly today, suggested that KL Rahul should be batting at 3, but we know that he'll be opening for India tomorrow. Cheteshwar Pujara, KL Rahul, Devdutt Padikkal, Yashasvi Jaiswal. That's kind of a fragile top three.
Yeah, in your intro, you said one sleep away. When I look at that batting lineup, I would say one sleepless night away, especially if you're the Indian team management. But I think a lot of excitement for the fans, a lot of hope, because the Indian cricket fan is always full of optimism. Even when Venkatpati Raju and Venkatesh Prasad were batting and they needed 100 runs in 8 overs, you always felt that okay, someone will hit a couple of sixes and get the target closer. But I think if you're pragmatic and if you're real, I think it's better to scale our expectations a little down.
Yeah, scaling our expectations a little down before we get to the finer details and discussing in detail about the two 11s which are likely to take part tomorrow. A little update for our viewers. Rohit Sharma is set to fly to Perth. He'll be leaving from India on November 23rd. He'll link up with the squad on November 24th. So he's not playing the first test. कुछ लोग को ट्विटर पे लग रहा है कि वो फर्स्ट टेस्ट खेलेगा. फर्स्ट टेस्ट नहीं खेल रहे हैं. 24 तारीख को वो पहुंच जाएंगे पर्थ में टीम के पास, एंड ही विल बी अवेलेबल फॉर द डे नाइट वार्म अप गेम इन कैनबरा फ्रॉम नवंबर 30th and all in readiness for the Adelaide day night test. So that was the newsy side of it. Now coming to another news, Dwaipan Datta, R Ashwin, लग रहा है बॉस खेलने वाला है. आज हरी को लेकर पिच पे खड़ा रहा बहुत देर तक. Your thoughts, Ashwin, the lone spinner, hasn't happened very often when it comes to overseas tests. Keeping Jadeja out is a brave call, but is it horses for courses right now?
It has happened in Australia, even since his first tour in 2011-12. Like he played the first test. I remember he bowled a very good spell in Adelaide to Mike
Yeah.
Hussey, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so he has in Australia it has happened, and the fact that Gautam Gambhir believes that he needs a spinner who can give him wickets on day one
Yeah.
brings Ashwin into the picture, because Ashwin has those tricks up his sleeve to be effective on day one, where he can take the pitch out of the equation and bring his own skills into play on a pitch which is not necessarily favorable for spinners. So
Yeah.
all those things point to Ashwin getting the nod in Australia for the first test, which is a brave call, because if the batting and the bowling had to be taken into consideration, even Ashwin himself concedes that Jadeja is a better bet for abroad. He has said that in press conferences. So it's a brave call, but it's good that India is doing that in this test, and we can take it from there.
Chetan Narula, now I bring you into the conversation, and I can't keep Virat Kohli away when I'm talking to you. So I'll bring in Virat Kohli because we haven't discussed a lot of Virat Kohli in the last 2-3 tests, 2-3 days, I would say. Australian media is going all gaga about the king, about his last dance, about the last laugh, and all that jazz. His beard is being shown from different angles. The fact that he's smiling and not cursing enough in the official photo shoot, even that is under scrutiny. योर थॉट्स ऑन विराट कोहली, बिकॉज इतना बात हम लोग ने नहीं किया यार, हम टॉप 3 पे लगे रहे, बॉलिंग कॉम्बिनेशन पे लगे रहे, कल फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स करते रहे, आज थोड़ा कोहली पे बात कर ही लेते हैं.
Yeah. First of all, when I remember the first couple of times when Virat Kohli had gone there as captain. I think it was 2015, towards the end of 2015, or when they went back for the ODI series in 2016. At that time, he said, the one thing that I don't like about the captaincy is that my hair is going to turn white. So that was one thing. But he's taken good care of his hair. अलग अलग कलर करके he's worked
ब्राउन
very
किया इस
well.
बार, कुछ
Said
ब्राउन
brown
और
किया,
बरगंडी का मिक्स किया है इस बार.
brown and burgundy color. So yeah, I hope it works for him. But look, on the serious note, I think he would have liked that. He's flown under the radar a bit, but at the same time, the focus cannot be taken away from Virat Kohli. Let's be very honest about that. क्योंकि अगर आप इंडिया का बैटिंग लाइनअप देखोगे, then it's very fragile. I mean, you look at the top order, you look at the middle order, you look at the way their match simulation went, you look at the way the New Zealand series went, and from that perspective, it cannot be denied that India's batting lineup is very fragile, and you need somebody as accomplished as Virat Kohli to score big runs. And from that perspective, uh, once the match starts, Virat Kohli will come into focus, and yeah, from an Indian perspective, you definitely want big runs. All this talk about, yes, I for a fact have thought कि बहुत सोचा है मैंने इस बारे में कि what happens if Virat Kohli doesn't score runs, and we've discussed on the show as well. What happens if Virat Kohli doesn't score big runs on this tour? We have discussed it. All of us have given our thoughts on this matter as well. But Virat Kohli, moving on from Virat Kohli for Indian cricket, it's not going to be very easy, and you don't expect somebody like Virat Kohli to just go away like that. You expect another comeback, another high. You expect a champion player like that to overcome whatever problems he might be facing at this point in time. So from that perspective, you would think that Virat Kohli will overcome this. And I would like your thoughts as well on this subject. Uh, Srini, what do you think? You've seen Virat Kohli up close. You've seen him dominate in that 2018 cycle, 2014 to 2018 cycle. You expect a champion player like that to just come up with the goods once more.
Well, see that I think that's the beauty of a tour like Australia. When something is not working with you, that's the one place you're pushed against a wall, and that's it. That's where your all your options run come to an end. So from there on, you either make a comeback, you either say you belong and you stand there and you tell us that there is cricket in you, or from there on you just perish and walk away. I think Virat Kohli stands at that cusp where this series, again, when we talk about Virat Kohli's career, inevitably that conversation will reel around his performances in Australia or performances against Australia, or the opposition like Australia that brings out the best in Virat Kohli. Inevitably, we'll be talking about his first two tours of Australia, especially 2015 when he took over as the captain, what kind of form where he was in. Inevitably, we'll talk about kind of aggression that the Indians learned from the Aussies, and Virat was at the helm of it, and what he preached and how he turned around India into a pace unit that could, speak to them back in their own language. So many things that you generally talk about Virat begins to, at some point, at any point in a conversation, relate with what he has done against Australia, and particularly so in the current conversation in Australia. So जब हम वहां पे we have come to the cusp of those discussions, then it's very obvious that this is where we expect a batter like Virat, who's obviously not in red hot form for a while now, to kind of, show some. See, if this was not Virat Kohli, trust me, we would be speaking, kind of way too differently. I mean, because it is Virat, because ये India का इतना बड़ा batter है, you know that he's indispensable to the Indian team, because of what he's achieved, etc., etc., that there is this amount of respect when you have these conversations. And it's because it's not another player. I mean, we know because we have discussed KL Rahul, for instance, and his dismissal in that when he was bowled in the last Test series. So because it's Virat, we tend to give it so much importance because again, the whole global Fab Four and one of the top runners in that. If any of that has to be taken into consideration, this is the star we expect him. And by the way, look at the irony here. There is only one thing that's more or less troubling Virat, right? The ball outside the off stump. More than anything else, if there is something that is troubling Virat, he's just lost track of his off stump. He just has lost track of where his off stump lies. So
So,
from
yeah,
from that
look,
perspective, I just complete this. From that perspective, there are so many lessons that he can take in terms of his predecessors, and figure out what is wrong.
no, again, let's not go on with the comparison with Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar, a
Not
very very
comparing. That's
different
why
player.
we take the name.
Sachin Tendulkar, a very in terms of discipline, in terms of patience, a very very different player. In terms of the shot making, a very very different player. Virat Kohli, people say keep this is my thing. People say why can't he bat the way Sachin Tendulkar did? Because he's not Sachin Tendulkar. Let's be honest, he's Virat Kohli. Nitin, I would like your thoughts on this because ठीक है, you want to compare them, you want to say okay, he's filling up those particular boots and he's done a terrific job. But when I say he can't do what Sachin did, it's because the cover drive is such an important shot for Virat Kohli. That's one of the main reasons he can't just cut it off the way Sachin Tendulkar could cut it off. You don't associate a Sachin Tendulkar with just the cover drive. There was a straight drive, there was the flick, everything. The straight drive was perhaps जैसे आप कवर ड्राइव से कनेक्ट करते हो विराट कोहली को, the straight drive was the shot for Sachin Tendulkar. That was his go-to shot. So he just can't cut it off from his armory, and that's why it could become a big, big test of patience and skill for Virat Kohli. Because against the likes of Hazelwood and Pat Cummins, the ones who are going to be bowling that nagging line, it's not going to be very easy.
Yeah, also because one of his release shots is the dab to the third man that he generally,
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's where I think that's where they'll
Open the
they'll
space to the
block
back.
it
Yeah.
off. Yeah, and that's where I think they'll block it off and they'll force him to play that fifth stump, sixth stump line. Uh,
Yeah.
I think what he will have to leave a lot of deliveries. That's what Cheteshwar Pujara did so well, and maybe force the bowlers to bowl to him
Yeah.
and access the leg side maybe. But I think you mentioned about Srini mentioned about some of his illustrious predecessors. I think one of the reasons why Tendulkar had such a productive second wind, especially post 2007, after that lull between 2005 and 2007, where he was even booed at Wankhede after getting caught behind of Jimmy Anderson. I think one of the reasons why Tendulkar enjoyed his second wind was he did not take too many breaks from the game. He kept
Yeah.
playing some format or the other. Even he played even Syed Mushtaq Ali. He played something or the
Yeah.
other. He kept on playing. I think this is where maybe if he has an honest word to him, I mean he looked at himself in the mirror to change his physical appearance. But maybe if he looks at himself in the mirror and sees the volume of cricket that he has played, maybe that might give him some honest answer.
Okay. This answer, I want to just add on to it, Dopain, and want to bring you in here. Uh, you know, you talk about patience. You talk about longevity in terms of what Sachin Tendulkar did. Virat Kohli, let's also take Nimish. He needs to bring that cut shot, otherwise he's gonna leave, and when they're gonna give the bat foolish, he's gonna get out fishing it. Okay. Um, Use the bounce, perhaps. Is that something that Virat Kohli will look to do? Because again, in a way, what he did in 2014, he needs to. You remember that Melbourne innings where he needed to counter attack and get on top of the Aussie bowling. He's a very different batter now. He's going more onto the accumulative side. ज़्यादा accumulate करके runs बनाने हैं. But at the same time, in Australia, you need to counter the bowling. You need to get on top of the bowling.
See, uh, to be successful here at the stage that Virat Kohli is at the moment, he can, if he is coming into bat at 15 for 2, I do not see him doing well here, because he has to deal with both bounce and movement, which could be difficult for him at this stage of his career. So, if, for Virat Kohli to be successful on this trip, the 1, 2, 3 has to give him a cushion, like at least where
Hmm.
20 overs have been played out, so that he can come in on he gets 10 innings, right? So at least 6, 7 innings he comes in when the ball is about 20 overs old. At that point of time, if it is about the bounce, then I think Kohli will ride that bounce, and he will manage it. He has the quality, he has the game, he has everything, uh, which allows him to manage the bounce. But when it becomes movement and bounce of the pitch, movement and bounce, that is where he can be put under a bit of a scanner. In England in 2018, as you and I both
Yeah,
remember, like
yeah,
how
yeah.
he came forward, met the ball early to counter that swing. He almost met the ball before the ball was breaking for that swing. In Australia, the problem is you can't do that because there will be steep bounce. So you cannot go forward and meet it so early. So there is a bit of a tricky situation there. So I think Virat Kohli's success in this series will have a lot to do with how the top three plays also.
Right, how the top three plays, and that is going to be a very important topic. तो एक काम करते हैं, थोड़ा सा पलटी मारते हैं. Let's take a bit of U-turn and let's see what the two captains have said. Also, as Sahil was mentioning, let's replug this. TUI pe you can go. Nitin Nayak on our panel today, an absolutely brilliant piece on Chiteshwar Pujara on on the value of putting your wicket, up for a premium. Spending time at the crease. And I think this is something that Ravi Shastri and Harsha Bhogle, who are going to be part of the Fox Sports panel, they have also said. और अभी अभी शो पे आने से just a few minutes before I came onto the show, I was reading Cheteshwar Pujara. He's given some comments. He's going to be part of the commentary team. So he has said that KL Rahul is somebody that should bat at number three. It just came a little while back, so we haven't prepared a graphic for that. I want to get your thoughts, gentlemen. We have discussed the batting lineup for India. We have a lot of comments on Virat Kohli. We'll take them one by one. We'll take a lot of comments. आज बहुत बड़ा show है. So let's start with the top three. Cheteshwar Pujara says KL Rahul to bat at number three. Srini, do you agree with that? Or KL Rahul उसको open ही करने दो along with Yashasvi Jaiswal. Use that experience and then you put in somebody like a Devdutt Padikkal who comes like a joker in the pack, who's not been part of the setup, but he has some experience of the Australian conditions with the India A setup.
Padikkal and Jaiswal at the start. I mean, too much of kind of you like kind of you again you'll be on the back foot in terms of the kind of experience that you need to start on a tour like Australia. And KL, let's be fair to KL. KL as an opener overseas hasn't done bad. 7 Test 100s abroad. He's not been a lame horse at all. In fact, one of India's most prolific batters overseas. And from that standpoint, I don't know where the doubt is. Maybe the current form that we are judging him by, but in the current situation, you don't really have a choice there. If it was left to me, I would definitely want an experienced opener up the ranks who can allow or give Yashasvi Jaiswal the comfort to go ahead with the shots. So from that aspect, if I want to keep Yashasvi Jaiswal feeling comfortable out there at the other
Hmm.
end, I would rather have an experienced batter rather than sending a debutant. So from that standpoint, I think KL Rahul should open. I don't know where Cheteshwar Pujara might be coming from. Is that he might want number three to add stability and from kind of an experience at that position. Again, having a newcomer at number three. But for me, like how you open, on the first day of a test match, first day of a first test of a 5 test series, the two batters who walk in first, and the kind of impact that they create, I think to me that matters a lot. So I mean, I don't know. I'll go in with KL Rahul, the opener.
Okay, Nitin and then Vapayan.
Yeah, let's not add one more batting position to his long list of batting positions.
He's
But
batted at three before. He's batted at three before.
he's batted, but yeah, I mean, he's already had, Mr. Fix It, as we
Mm,
call him. Every position we've tried him. I think let's stick with him as an opener for this test. Anyway, he's going to bat, if at all, if he's going to come into the 11. Anyway, he's going to bat at a different number once Rohit Sharma comes in. So for
mm.
this test, let's have that clarity, and let's put him up there, and let's hope for the best.
Vapayan, do you want to add to this?
Yeah, we don't have another opener, so we are not playing Abhimanyu Ishwaran, so we don't have an opener. It's as simple as that. So we have to go with KL Rahul there. I don't
Okay.
think there is a choice.
On that note, I would like to welcome a very special guest for us here on Beyond the Boundary. We have India's former fielding coach, R Sridhar. Welcome, R Sridhar, to our show. I'm Chetan Narula. We have K. Srinivas Rao, Nitin Nayak, and Dopayan Datta. It's so good to have you here. Somebody who has so much info with, how the team prepares in Australia, what kind of challenge this is. So, first of all, your thoughts. How do you think this Indian team is going to square up with the Australian challenge, going for a hat trick of Border-Gavaskar Trophy wins?
A very special good evening to everyone on the show and
Hi.
all the viewers. Hi Srinivas, hi Datta, hi Nayak. Of course, Chetan is there as well. So I mean, wonderful joining the show. It's a show which we all enjoy, and it's wonderful to be a part of it. Uh, yeah, I mean it's not going to be easy for India. Well, the hope is for a hat trick, but I think like you all have already discussed, the challenges are well laid out, and it's not that we have not crossed hurdles and overcome challenges on the previous tour. So hopefully, uh, looking for an encore.
Yeah. Absolutely. Talk us through this. We were just discussing about the fact that, Virat Kohli, you have to start with him, King Kohli in Australia, so many hundreds. I mean, you look at, batters from a bygone era, jab aap compare karte ho, 700s in Australian soil. Every time he's gone to Australia, he's left his stamp there with the bat. In Adelaide, they might just erect a statue for Virat Kohli. How does a batter like Virat Kohli prepare for a series like this? And what do you think would be the difference now, or would there be no difference at all, given, I don't want to say struggle, but the kind of form that he has been coming on the back? He's not played too much cricket. There's a bit of doubt creeping in the way he's approaching some sort of dismissals against, especially against New Zealand. They were not very Virat Kohli like, if I can say so. So, from his mindset, you worked so closely with him. How would he prepare? How does he go about his routine when going into a big series like this?
I mean, generally, if you see Virat, well, going into a big series, whether it is in South Africa, Australia, any of the SENA countries, he likes
Yeah,
to go hard, full on in his preparations before the first test. Arrive good 10, 12 days early, get a lot of, sessions under his belt, each session comprising of more than 200 to 50 balls, plenty of time out in the middle with match simulations or practice matches. He generally takes up the most difficult pitches available and asks the bowlers to have a go on him in those conditions. He's willing to look ugly in practice so that as the tour progresses, it becomes easy for him. So these are some of the standard procedures as far as Virat Kohli goes in terms of preparation. But having said that, obviously, I suspect he would have tapered it off a little bit, considering that he's entering a different phase of his career and different phase of his life. But make no mistake, his fitness is still prime, I guess. So
yeah,
he is well tuned to to undergo the rigors of a solid 10-day training camp. He would work a little bit on his technique in terms of knowing where his back foot is, in terms of his initial movement. He likes to stay square with that back foot, hips are nice and side on, where when he's in that active neutral position, and you love to play those fourth stump, access those fourth stump, fifth stump balls easily. As we all know, that anything on the stumps, he accesses the leg side fabulously. So, just that fifth stump ball is something which would challenge him. So he
Yeah.
would be practicing very hard in getting into that position where he knows exactly where his
Hmm.
off stump is, because Stark and Co are not going to give anything on the stumps or on the body to him. They're going to be
Yeah.
looking to feel for the
Yeah.
ball on the fifth or sixth stump when he first comes into the crease. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll be working hard to counter that. Obviously, fitness is a no-brainer. I mean, he's going to be working hard in the gym as well. But yeah, he would have played already 1,500 balls after landing in
Yeah,
Australia.
yeah, that's a given with somebody like a Virat Kohli. The way such meticulous preparation. हम लोग बात कर चुके हैं पहले भी show पे. You know how we have watched him prepare in the nets. Before we move on, we were just discussing Sridhar that India's top order before Virat Kohli comes to the crease, it's going to be very vital. You don't want a repeat of the 90s when Sachin Tendulkar used to come to the crease at 10 for 2, 15 for 2. And India's top order is a bit jumbled up at the moment. Rohit Sharma not available, Shubman Gill out injured. We were just discussing Cheteshwar Pujara, who's part of the commentary panel. He said KL Rahul should bat at number 3. What are your thoughts? As also because you've seen KL Rahul also very up close. How does he go about his preparations on an important tour like this?
I mean, KL has been playing international cricket for a decade now, so
Yeah,
he
started off in
he better.
Australia, right?
Yeah, he made his debut in Australia. I think he batted at number 4 or 6. I can't exactly remember
Six,
in that
six,
Sydney test.
six at
He
yeah,
batted at
Boxing Day
6.
test. Yeah,
Got a hundred, slow hundred, but yeah, it was still a hundred on debut, which was fabulous
yeah,
for him. But his numbers in Australia are not great. If you go to see his numbers in Australia, not the greatest.
yeah,
Last couple of tours, he was not able to hold his own. He lost his position. I mean, in the Perth test, I remember Hazelwood got him almost off a full toss, which he played all
yes,
around the ball
yes,
and got clean bowled. So yeah, he's yet to fire at the top of the order in Australia, and I hope he comes good. Obviously, better mindset, better frame of mind. But one thing is for sure, KL would be talking about playing in that number for all the games. And once Rohit is back, or once Shubman is back, what is going to be the situation? So that is something which Indian think tank has to look into, because you don't want to be playing Russian roulette with your batting order in such an
I remember.
important series. So I don't know whom they're going to play. If Ishwaran plays, Rahul plays, and Padikkal plays. I don't know, Virat 4, Rishabh 5. Those are the only two numbers which look like they are sealed at the moment. Maybe 6 will be taken by Jurel, 7 by Jadu, or Ashwin, or 8 by Nitish.
Yeah.
Looks like that, but 1, 2, 3 are what, no Gill, no Rohit. So it's going to be KL and Abhimanyu, and 3. Who's going to be a 3? Is it going to be Padikkal?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. They the particle prime to bat at number 3, KL Rahul to open. So it becomes very important कि India की जो start रहे, it's a good start.
Of course,
Let's
Jaiswal is
bat.
there.
Yeah,
I beg your
Jaiswal.
pardon. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jaiswal is there.
Yashasvi
Yeah,
will open along with KL. I'm
with
sorry. Yeah.
KL Rahul or Abhimanyu Isudan. From what we are hearing, KL Rahul, Yashasvi Jaiswal, and then Devdutt Padikkal and Dhruv Jurel at number 6. That's the lineup we've heard, and that's the lineup we've discussed here on the show as well. K. Srinivas Rao has dropped out just for a bit. We'll be back soon. But in the meanwhile, let's talk about more, how India is looking. Let's also talk about a big factor, and that's the captaincy factor. Let's not forget the captaincy factor, Aega. On the last couple of tours, we've seen Virat Kohli with his aggressive captaincy in 2014, 2018, then 2020. He missed out for a majority of the series. You had somebody reliable like Ajinkya Rahane. And now that Rohit Sharma is not available for the first test match, you have somebody again who's very inspired and also inspires others around him. Jasprit Bumrah, a gem of Indian cricket. He's going to be leading only his second test, if I believe. Let's ask our panel one by one. Let's start with Sridhar. Of course, he's seen Jasprit Bumrah from very close quarters. He's going to be leading the side now. What do you expect from him as a captain? And how is he going to segregate Bumrah, the bowler, with Bumrah, the captain?
I mean, Jasprit Bumrah, the person, obviously is someone who dwells on excellence.
Hmm.
He's someone who is on top of his game, one of the best in the world, currently going around best in the world. So if he's going to expect those standards from his teammates, then he's going to be disappointed. So as a captain, you've got to be very there. If you're going to expect the best in the world from each of your 10 players who are taking the park along with you, you are
Yeah.
going to be a disappointed captain. You're going to get frustrated. Being that is the first point I want to say. The second point is Bumrah is a bowler. So generally, when bowlers take up captaincy, They either underbowl themselves or they overbowl themselves. So he needs a good ally, in probably
Mm.
whether it is a Virat or a Rahul or a Pant,
Yeah.
whoever it is, to let him know that when he's got a bowl, what should be the length of the spell? Does he need an extended spell? Or when you sense a wicket, does Bumrah come back into the attack? Or if there is a matchup, you bring yourself back on. So all these things are very, very vital when it comes to
Yeah.
Bumrah, the captain. So Bumrah is a very proud cricketer. Takes a lot of pride in his
Yeah.
the way he prepares, the way he plays. So I would be watching very carefully as to how he is going to handle errors on the field. So it's very, very important as a captain that you handle errors in a magnanimous manner while you're on the field, because it is going to happen. Catches are going to
Right.
get dropped, batters are going to get out, bowlers are going to dish out some ordinary deliveries. It's part and parcel of the sport. What remains to be seen, what's important is how Bumrah accepts those and moves on with the game. But if he's
Mm.
going to expect every athlete in that playing 11 to be flawless like he is, then
Mm.
it's going to be difficult for him.
It's interesting what he said, in the press conference today, that he's always advocated for pacers being captain. So it's pace versus pace now, the Vayan. Pat Cummins versus Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, Pat Cummins has been in the job for a long time. Jasprit Bumrah comes in now. We haven't, in Indian cricket, we haven't had a lot of pace bowlers leading. I mean, the last one you go back to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Kapil Dev, right? In between, have we had a pace captain? I'm not
I
sure.
don't think no.
Yeah, we haven't had. And Kapil Dev, I mean, we're talking about the 80s, aren't we? So, Jasprit Bumrah, what does it mean for you to see Jasprit Bumrah leading the side? Of course, he's a mega star. He's a big player. But sometimes big players don't make the best captains, and sometimes big players make tremendous captains.
He wasn't so great in that one-off test in England when we went back for that test match, the fifth
Yeah,
test match. So where England chased it down. So there were flaws in his captaincy on the final day as England chased it down. So, but then there's an inexperience factor was there because I haven't seen him leading any of the teams that he has played for. And what Sridhar said is very very important, that a player of that caliber, he should scale down the expectations a little bit from his teammates. We remember that 1999 series when Tendulkar was the captain, and many of the players of that series told me how Tendulkar used to expect that excellence from everyone, and it became a disaster at the end of the day. So that is something that he has to take into account, because yes, he is a champion performer. He is the greatest match winner that we have had in a long time. So yeah, it's a difficult situation, but he's captain for one test match. And as Sridhar said, I hope he gets some good advice from people like Virat and other seniors, whoever, like maybe Virat only. He needs a bit of guidance as he
yeah,
goes forward. Yeah.
yeah.
He will
Go ahead,
he
please.
will get advice. He should be open for it.
He should be open for it. Yes, that's what makes
Okay.
a good leader, right? That's what makes a good leader. Nitin, let's bring you in here. England, maybe it was one-off test match. Australia, it seems like it will be a one-off test match. The breaking news is Rohit Sharma is joining up with the team on the 29th. That will be ahead of the second test, so he can also play the two-day game. So from that perspective, uh, Nitin, one of test matches don't give a lot of leeway in terms of leaving your captaincy imprint, but there is no doubt that India is on the cusp of a test match transition sooner or later in the next 10 to 12 months. And if Bumrah does well, we might have somebody who could lead for the shorter term, maybe not too long, maybe a year or two. At least we'll have somebody stable at least for the next WTC cycle. Are we even going to be thinking about that? Just a one-off test, but that might be a consideration.
I just hope he doesn't captain that way, thinking that okay, this is just a one-off test. I just
Okay.
hope that he leaves his imprint without
Hmm.
being overbearing,
Hmm.
uh, being a little more accommodative, as Sridhar said. That
Yeah.
because as Dwaipan gave a beautiful example of Tendulkar, I remember one statement by Javagal Srinath
Yeah.
when he was describing a net session with him. He said that when I can bowl an outswinger and an in swinger at will, why can't you?
Yeah.
So that, and Srinath apparently told him, because my name is not Sachin Tendulkar.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and I'm not as God gifted as you are.
Yeah,
So I hope that Bumrah also realizes that, because he is a special,
yeah.
he's extremely gifted and a freak of nature, which everybody might not be.
Yeah, and that is also something that I heard from a lot of ex cricketers when I was researching my book on Indian cricket captains. Sachin Tendulkar, expecting a lot, because the way you have genius players, great players look at the game is sometimes very different from players who might not be, such geniuses. So that is going to be a very, very big element of captaincy, especially for Jasprit Bumrah, because the kind of bowler he is, the kind of cricketer he is. Let's also talk about different comments that are coming in, and let's also involve Sridhar in that as well. Kumar Kanish says, as we have Bumrah as captain for first test, we can expect some surprising changes according to his thought process, like playing Ashwin as sole spinner than Jadeja. Okay, let me first clarify. It's not just the captain who makes this call. It's the entire team management, and the coaches are also involved. The support staff, they are all involved as well. Obviously, the captain has the last call, or the last saying. But having said that, this Ashwin Jadeja debate, let me also say Ashwin has been involved in the pre-match practice sessions, etc., etc. He was taking a look at the pitch, very deep look with the India's support staff, the way he does before test matches, thinking up plans, his calculations in his mind and all. But this debate, Jadeja, Ashwin, overseas spinner, it has been going on for a very, very long time. I want to ask you, Sridhar, how does the Indian team management look at this? Is it two great spinners, whether it's home conditions or overseas conditions, or we're just thinking about one spinner and a spin bowling all rounder?
Earlier the thought process was, see, when you had Shami, Bumrah, Ishant, and Umesh towards the end, and Siraj making his debut at that point, then Shardul came in.
Hmm.
You needed a left-hander. The Adelaide Test, which we got all out for 36, we did not have a single left-hander in the entire 11,
Yeah,
and Hazelwood and Cummins just bowled on the coin every ball, and every ball was nicked. It was that kind of a session. But the minute you brought in Rishabh and Jadeja in the next Test match, Cummins was not as effective as he appeared to be in the earlier Test, and we all
yeah,
know Cummins' record against left-handers is not very great. So you need, now that you have Yashasvi, you have Pant at five. I would still be tempted to have a left-hander at seven.
okay.
Having said that, yeah, I would still have tempted to have a left-hander at seven, because you need their fast bowlers to be bowling at a left-right combination.
Hmm.
Uh, that is one. And two, obviously, Jadeja is, despite Ashwin's phenomenal numbers, Jadeja as a batter, you would back a wee bit more than Ashwin when it comes to conditions where the ball is doing a little bit when there's extra bounce. No disrespect to Ashwin at all.
Hmm.
So I would still be tempted to go with Jaddu in the first game, um, unless you are winning the toss and going to field first. In Perth, it's wisdom. It's what you call common wisdom that you win the toss and bat first, because on the first day the
Yeah,
pitch will be done.
yeah,
You have to bat first in Perth. So that is where the question kicks in. If you win the toss, you want to field first. Then on that pitch, Ashwin could be a handful at least till lunch, and till an hour after lunch. There might
yeah.
be something for him to get some extra bounce, and ball may stop, or ball may just stop a wee
Hmm.
bit, forcing errors from the likes of Labuschagne, Smith, and team.
Yeah.
But otherwise, for the first game, I would still to go with them.
Sorry, can you repeat that? Still,
I
you
would
would
still
go with
I would still back the team with go with Jaddu in the first
Jadu.
game. That's the
Okay, any chance that you would want to pick both Jadu and Ashwin for the first test, because you're also playing three paces after that, seven Jadu, eight Ashwin, and then you pick three paces after that. Is that possible? Is that at all a thought in your head?
I think Nitish Kumar Reddy has already got the nod.
Oh, he's already got the nod. So there's the info. Nitish Kumar Reddy, guys, Dopayan, Nitin, and KSR also joins us back. I mean, this debate has been big, hasn't it? I mean, Jadeja or Ashwin, and I've said this on the show before. You need to look at Ashwin as your spin choice, with all due respect to what Sridhar has just said, and how the Indian team looks at them. Jadeja as a spin all rounder. Your thoughts, guys? Dopayan and then Nitin.
Jadeja as a spin all rounder, like he has been phenomenal. Like there is no doubt about it. So, but the
Yeah.
point is, uh, Sridhar though said that Perth is a venue where the
That's
idea
rest.
should be to bat first, but then because of the dampness that has been there, so I think the temptation will be to field first. So
Hmm.
in that situation, Ashwin comes into play because he's a better bowler in the first innings on the first day, as I was saying. And the thing is, and if it is a like Jadeja, the all rounder, he's obviously like I thought it's a given that when they went for the series that the number 7 is locked Jadeja, and then four pacers come uh, in Perth. But they haven't thought on those lines. They have gone with Nitish Reddy. They have decided that they are going to punt on Nitish Reddy. So it is in a way surprise, but that is how this team management is looking at it. I will be very keen to know what how the thought process would have been when Ravi Bhai and Sridhar they were in charge. Like
Yeah.
I'm very keen to know if they were in charge and what would they have done.
Yeah, because I want to put this question to you in a different way. Because in South Africa, if you remember, you had Hardik Pandya to perform that kind of role. So India, and then you mentioned about Shardul Thakur later that year, and in the recent years as well, whether it's England in 21. So India has been a little bit favoring getting कभी भी opportunity मिले आपको to have a pace bowling all rounder overseas, use that. So is that something that has gone in favor of Nitish Reddy, who's, let's be say, a little lightweight in terms of his first class experience?
I think it's early doors for, if you're asking me the question,
Yeah, 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 please, yeah,
I think
please.
it's a little early doors for Nitish to play Test cricket. He's played around 20 red ball games
Yeah.
for Andhra. He's got reasonable numbers. He played as a bowling all rounder. Then when it came to the white ball cricket, the IPL, he became a batting all rounder. So these young cricketers, when they develop, they become they are, with different formats and different phases of their career, they they kind of become a batting all rounder or a bowling all rounder. But here he seems to be a bowling all rounder. He didn't have a great outing with India A. He
Yeah.
just picked up one wicket and got out playing the same shot a couple of times, which was the hook
Hmm.
shot or the pull shot. He's a compulsive player of that horizontal bat shot. So, yeah, I mean, it appears, going by Mone Mogul's press conference, that I think Nitish has locked in his place at that number 8. And we're talking about Ash and Jaddu. Let's not forget you have an option in Washington Sundar as well, who has,
Yes,
of
we
course,
just had
been
a
a bit
comment
elusive
on that.
because he's your left-handed batter and an off spinner. Also, the
Yeah.
history says Australians are not great players of off spin.
Hmm.
Duncan used to always tell that to me. He always said, "No, Aussies don't play off spin too well, Sri. They don't play off spin too well." He was a big fan of that, and he always said that, and it's backed by some numbers. So when you have someone like a Washi who's tall, who's made his debut in Australia, I mean, although it's quite a few years back, but he
Hmm.
did well in that test. He picked up
Hmm.
Smith and team, got good bounce. Now he's worked on his action, nice overspin on the ball. He's able to rev it up. Australia is a country where you need overspin on the
Hmm.
ball rather than having some side spin, where India's side spin works a lot. So he's worked on it. We saw that in Pune and Mumbai. So very tempted to
Very
give Oshie
tempted.
because you get that extra bounce. Last time we played in Perth, we already got 2 wickets, bowling
Yeah.
his off spins on day one. So I would be very, very tempted, but I think it'd be going against hierarchy and protocol.
Okay, against protocol. Nitin, your thoughts on this, and then we'll get KSR in as well.
Yeah, as Sridhar said, Jadeja's left-handedness is a huge advantage. But
Hmm.
uh, to counter that, with all
Hmm.
due respect, I would also say that the Australians have got three left-handers in their team, against who Ashwin has got five left-handers. Yeah, no, in the
Yeah.
top six, I'm saying in the top
Yeah.
six they have
Yeah.
three left-handers. So they have so Ashwin, I think, would relish his chances against them.
Hmm.
Especially he has a good record against Travis Head and a couple of others against Khawaja. Um, I think knowing how these guys function, I think they might lean towards Ashwin.
Right. We've slowly discussed the entire Indian batting lineup. Like in एक aspect रह गया है, and that is the pace bowling aspect. And yes, you have Jasprit Bumrah who's leading, and obviously we have already spoken about him. But at the same time, you know, we've seen Indian bowlers hunt in pairs, hunt as a group. We've seen that in 2018. We saw that in the last time we won the BGT. That's 2021. Despite the fact that we had to change around our bowlers a lot, and that was a very a joint effort. And Pat Cummins has spoken about that. Josh Hazelwood has spoken about that. That the joint effort of the bowlers is very very important. Bumrah at partnership with Siraj, potentially Akashdeep. Are we looking at Harshit Rana? Let's talk about the bowling attack right now. K. Srinivas Rao, Group Sports Editor, he's joining us again. Srini, are you still confident Harshit Rana is making his test debut tomorrow? The GG factor.
I think with each passing hour, my kind of it's getting okay. I just had a quick point to make on that Jadeja Ashwin. I'll just
Go
quickly
ahead, go
say
ahead,
this
go ahead.
because it was on my mind. I just heard Sridhar saying that okay, Nitish Shetty is there at number 8, right? Then for me, that once that is confirmed, then for me, like I don't see a place for Jadeja, like because for me, just going in with the kind of Aussie lineup I'm looking at, you just can't afford to ignore Ashwin. I mean, that's there in my mind. I just wanted to kind of put it out with the kind of left-handers, and I mean, on a tour of Australia, first day, first test, I would want Ashwin in the 11. Again, I don't know if it's wishful thinking. Now I'll come back to uh, the bowling part. Totally confused. I see Harshit Rana playing.
Hmm.
With the coach, obviously loves him. And he's got things going for him. So I see a Harshit Rana being preferred over Prasidh Krishna, and I'm not very sure about Mohammad Siraj and Akashi. I would
Hmm.
want Sridhar's view on this. That when you come to a scenario like this, where you have to pick
Yeah,
one of the two from the same skill set, what are you looking at? Are you only picking by what you are observing in the nets? Because I said this in the show yesterday and in the show day before, that when you are in a scenario like this, then it is left to what exactly are you watching in the nets, and how what kind of a rhythm the bowler is, what feedback the batter is giving, and from that you pick and you make your choice. So I just want, I mean, you'd be the best person to answer that.
yeah. Please go ahead.
Uh, as a captain or as a management, you're looking at someone who's going to give you control.
Hmm.
I would be looking at a bowler who's going to give you control, because there are going to be pockets in the game where you need just to block and bowl at less than 2.5. If you see both the first BGT which we won in 2018-19, Ishan Sharma gave us tremendous control with the cherry. I mean, he came and just ran in and blocked one, and I wish he was there as a mentor on this tour. Really, Ishi and Puji should be part of the change room now, just as mentors, not sitting in the form box. Uh, well, that's another topic. What I'm saying is, you need someone to do that role. You need someone to do what Ishan Sharma did in that fourth test
Hmm.
back in 1819 when we won the first Border-Gavaskar Trophy. Now, who has the skill sets to go and block out one and Bumrah so that can bowl fearlessly with aggressive fields? Bumrah should not be brought down to a position where he's going to come and bowl to keep the game tight. If
Yeah,
Bumrah is doing that, how is Australia winning the game? Okay, so you need Bumrah to be going for wickets. For that, whether Siraj plays or Akash plays, you need someone who's going to be bowling you those 4 over spells for 10 runs. Last time, what we did, we took out the offside for most of the Aussie batters. We kept bowling on the pads, we packed the leg
yeah,
side field. Siraj responded beautifully. But when Navdeep Saini played, he could not keep the lead on the Aussie batters. He leaked runs. So then again, when Nattu could come and give some kind of a control. So you need a bowler. I'm going to go with a bowler who I'm seeing in the last 10 days, who's able to bowl in that box, 5 balls out of 6. I'm going
okay.
to put a box there which is about 9 inches wide and from 7.5 meters to 6.5 or 7 to 8 meter mark. I'm just asking him to bowl there. Whoever is going to bowl more balls there to me, who's going to give you control? I'm going for a bowler. We need a bowler who gives control.
Right, and probably that is why they had those black screens around the practice area to hide from Australia prying eyes who's bowling that particular line and length. But on a serious note, I mean, you remember 2018, Sridhar, when you guys prepped Bumrah for a debut, and that conversation, and Ravi Bhai told me this, Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun, Virat Kohli, and all the support staff, you guys had this conversation to prep him for the Cape Town test, and that
Yes.
prep had started 4 months back. Are we looking at something similar? Could this, because with Gautam Gambhir having seen Harshit Rana from close quarters, knowing the way he skids the ball through, gets that high arm action with the bounce, could that be a similar way to think that? And additionally, if you had to pick, who would be the bowler to perform that Ishant Sharma role from this current lineup?
It's a very good question because Harshit has got the X factor. So sick all. I mean, Mone Mokal is gung ho about what Harshit can do with the ball. So that's exciting. That's exciting. If at all you need to give your fast bowler a go, no better place in the world
But
than give him a go at the Optus Stadium. So, so that's going to be exciting. Harshit Rana running in with that ball in Perth with that Kookaburra ball. So I think Siraj, you would bank on Siraj's experience to give you that control, which means if
okay,
Bumrah, Siraj, Harshit Rana, and Nitish, I'm not too sure about Nitish, but I get a feeling talking to people that
yeah,
he's locked his place
mm,
because none of these four can bat really well. I hear
yeah,
Harshit can turn the ball
yeah,
quite a bit, but I mean, it's not going to work in Perth. It's a massive ground, so talking is not going to work a lot. So yeah, and he wouldn't have played in Perth anyway. So it'll take a while for a batter to get adjusted there. So having said so, because of their batting ability, so one spot has to go to Nitish. You'll try and come and bowl flip stump lines throughout, odd ball coming in into the off stump. That would be the plan with Nitish. 8 overs, 20 runs in the day. And Siraj is somebody who will swing the ball in. I hope he's trying to bowl more seam up now and
yeah,
stand and forget his scrambled seam balls for a bit.
mm,
Sort his run up out, sort his rhythm out. He looked out of rhythm, or the run up shortening his run up. Looked a little out of rhythm. I hope he's worked on that and come back to get those big in swingers going like he did last time in Australia. He's someone who can give you control. We need control so that Bumrah can
yeah.
have it.
Okay, just a question before I give you a bit of a breather and ask others a question, because you mentioned Siraj. I wanted to come on this later, but you mentioned Siraj. You know, he's lacking in a bit of consistency and rhythm coming into this series.
Pace,
Obviously,
lacking in pace. He's dropped to
back in the
130.
pace. Okay, okay. So how does he build that up? Because again, the way he bowled in Australia in 2021, he's a phenomenal weapon for India in those conditions, given his natural pace, given his natural length. How do we get that Siraj back in that form, in that shape for this series? That's a big challenge for India, right?
Big challenge for India. We need Siraj desperately in Australia. I mean, we need
Yeah,
because we don't want to be as much as it is advantage at times to have a fresh legs in a five-test series. After two tests, you may want a fresh pair of legs to to go through. But Siraj at least should play 3 to 4 test matches in this
yeah,
in this series. So I think Siraj has to look at his rhythm and run up. Shortening his run up, he's lost his rhythm a wee bit. That's what I feel from the outside. I may
yeah,
be entirely wrong here, but he needs to work on that run up, get a little more momentum in his run up, and then get his levers going more towards the
yeah,
target. So it's what Siraj was earlier. So I'm sure he's seen those videos when he was in Australia last time when he was bowling well in that Mumbai Test against New Zealand in 21, 22, or in the Asia Cup. His run up, the way he loaded up, the way he
yeah.
was balanced at the crease. I'm
Yeah.
sure you have seen that.
Right. We'll give you a bit of breather and bring in others. And Ravi Shankar Kumar,
I'm putting myself on mute.
yeah,
I
Ravi
had a
Shankar.
question for Sridhar sir. Sir,
Okay, you want to ask now? I'll give him a breather right now. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, you mentioned about the run up of Siraj,
Hmm.
and does that happen in between a season, or should that have happened before the season had started?
What in what
The,
about which part
Change
of
in
the
run
run
up.
up?
The change in run
the
up.
short, the change in the run up, the change in the run, because in the T20 World Cup he was bowling off a normal run, and suddenly
Hmm.
against Bangladesh we saw that shortened run up. So should
I
that
mean, he
have
really
happened before?
drastically for the Chennai test. He cut his run up. Chennai test. I
Yeah,
was covering the Chennai test, and I
yeah.
was like quite surprised.
Hmm.
I in fact called up Arun. Also. I said, "What is he doing? And why is he shortened his run up?" So I was surprised. In fact, I spoke to him one of those evenings. He said, "Yeah, maybe the weather, or whatever." But I think he needs to go back to his proper foot. I'm sure he would have gone. I'm sure he would have gone
Okay.
back to his full fledged run. I can't wait to watch that. I'm desperate to watch
Okay.
that.
Right.
Thank
Easily
you.
done. It's easy.
And in fact, I was having this chat with Ravi Shastri and Bharat Arun in 2018 after that series, and they spoke about how rhythm was so important. Bharat Arun especially worked on rhythm. Somebody like a Shami, somebody like a Bumrah, somebody like an Ishan Shamra, that rhythm was so important. So hopefully Siraj can get that rhythm back. Ravi Shankar Kumar, he's one of our regulars. He says Siraj will take 20 wickets in Australia. We hope that. We hope that. Like I said, we need Siraj as a weapon. Guys, let's take some comments from our viewers and let's get them in. Introspect says nobody's rating Ritish, but he fulfills the role as a fourth bowler, and batting will be completely bonus at this stage at number 7 or number 8. And yeah, he can be an asset in the future. Let's keep future aside, but at this moment, it's a big test for him to make a debut on Australian soil. Dopayan at number 7 or number 8. Pat Cummins in his press conference said, and Nitish Kumar Reddy can be very handy. Didn't bowl a lot at Sunrisers Hyderabad, of course, as we have seen because of the impact player rule, but he must have seen something good in Nitish Rana to rate him so highly.
Yes, he has been basically he has been chosen on the basis of IPL performance. He has been chosen on the basis of temperament. Like he has shown some spark in his game, and that is the reason why he is there. And here, uh, I think there is a similar situation as to how Hardik played in that in South Africa also. So that cue is there. That template is there. If they can do that, where they can get some valuable runs from Nitish, which he sometimes looks that he can give. He has that bit of fearless streak in his game, and the fourth bowler is not supposed to bowl more than 10 overs. Is a kind of a change bowler who gives your frontline pacers a little bit of a breather. If you can keep it tight, that's his job. So it's not a bad option to go with. And once they had taken him, I think they had tied their hands also a bit. They had to play him here only if they had to play him. So
Okay.
I guess it, let's see. Like it's very difficult to say whether it will work or not. But yeah, the Hardik experiment worked. Like in that
In
South
South
Africa
Africa.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, as Srini has said so many times, big players are made in Australia. So it's going to be a test of fire in your debut test, of course, throughout the series. Because if he does well in Perth, there's no reason why he shouldn't be playing throughout the series. But we'll see how it goes. Debankya says Rishabh Pant should be test captain after Rohit, as Bumrah is asset. We need to give him rest sometimes. He'll miss home test matches, etc., etc. The reason why I picked this comment is not looking at captaincy, Srini. I'm talking from a fact that Rishabh Pant as a player, अगर आपको captaincy देना है, he's on his comeback trail from injury. He needs to prove a point. He needs to score those big runs. He is the star player from that Gaba victory. India will be relying on him. He needs to have a big series. If somebody needs to step into Virat Kohli's superstar shoes and dominate Australia in Australia, that has to be Rishabh Pant now, isn't it?
Yes, but if you were to only make me think about BGT, Rishabh Pant would have ideally needed a Cheteshwar Pujara along with
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
also.
The Indian
So I
batting
now
needs
want to.
Cheteshwar Pujara. We don't have a
I now
Cheteshwar
want to.
Pujara. Let's move on from that.
Yeah, so who plays the Pujara role? But I want to
Hmm.
see, kind of, what happens when you have a punt and an equally, kind of excited punt to make his comeback and go back to Australia, where obviously things happened and everything is fine. But without a Pujara, without a Rahane in that squad, kind of how do you maneuver that
Hmm.
space? So from that aspect, I'm a little skeptical, and I'll wait and watch. And I don't know why is it that everybody is ready, in a hurry to make everybody a captain at the drop of a hat. So I think that's a conversation that can wait. I mean, Rohit Sharma is waiting to come and take control of the squad. We'll stick to that for now.
Okay.
It is,
Um,
it is Rohit's team.
okay. Nitin, your thoughts on this? Rishabh Pant. I mean, if you're looking at one batter apart from Virat Kohli to make that kind of impression, just Yashasvi Jaiswal at the top and Rishabh Pant in that middle. So this troika of batters, they have to really, just करना है ऑस्ट्रेलिया में करके दिखाना है.
Yeah, and he has the game because he's got wonderful defense, and he can also take the bowling on, especially if the top order kind of plays 40-50 overs and he comes in when the ball is older, and I think that's when he can really impose himself on the game. Um, I hope that he's not burdened with captaincy at this moment.
Yeah.
Let's give him some more time. Let this BGT end,
Hmm.
and let things play out. Whatever happens with the senior players, and then maybe for the next WTC cycle, think of a new captain.
Okay. A question here about Jaiswal's hunger for runs in this against this potent O's bowling attack. Will he fit the bill? Why I took this comment is, first of all, there's no doubt about his hunger for runs. I've seen him from close quarters in the last two series that he's played. Before that as well, the hunger for runs, the desire to keep on scoring those big runs. अगर कोई है इस Indian team में right now at this point in time where every time he goes out of bat he wants to score big runs, Yashasvi Jaiswal is the one who puts his hand up. But at the same time, what I was worried about Vapayan in the Bangladesh series and in the New Zealand series early on, that tendency to just go for his drives early on and nick it off and be caught in the slip. So that is one thing that keeps me worried when he's going to be facing, maybe again, Pat Cummins' record not that great against the left-handers, but again Josh Hazelwood. That's the bowler. That's the bowler, right?
Yes, even in South Africa, he was not great at the top of the order. And this will be his this will be his real test. Like we have seen his quality on Indian conditions. He's fantastic against spinners. He can take the game away. All those things are there. But then quality pace on bouncy pitches, where the ball is coming at a pace above the waist height, from good length. It's a massive test. So I think this will sh- show whether he really belongs there. I am looking forward to it. I'm really interested to see if he passes this test. Then he will be a fantastic player. He will be a generational talent. We will say if he passes this test with flying colors. But I will wait. I am not very sure about it at the moment.
Sridhar, we are holding our fingers crossed for a variety of players. I mean, probably the entire playing 11. But if you talk about the Australian players, and I want to take Nimish's comment here, India need to make sure they don't allow Nathan Lyon to get settled and get wickets. We've seen time and again they want to get on top of Nathan Lyon. He's picked up a lot of wickets against India, whether it's in India or in Australia. He's a terrific spinner. Uh, if you had to pick one weakness of this Australian team at this moment, what would that be?
Lack of form of the batting, I would say. Smith not in great form. Travis Head and Mitch Marsh coming after a long paternity leave. I mean, they would have practiced hard as well, but yeah, they're coming after a long layoff. They got a
Okay.
debutant in Max Sweeney at the top. Um, yeah, Labuschagne has got good numbers in Dhaka, at the Dhaka, not at the Dhaka, the Optus Stadium in Perth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, India is a different kettle of fish when it comes to that. So I think the Aussie batting is the key.
Hmm.
So they don't look the top of their game, and only tomorrow we will get to know how that is going to be. So that to me is that is an area where Indian can capitalize and get some early inroads, have them at 50 for three. Just about
Yeah.
half an hour before
Yeah.
lunch. That would be great for India.
Right. It's been great fun talking to you, getting your insights in the Indian team, in the way they prepare and how they go about it. Before we let you go, finally, of course, we need your prediction for the series because it's prediction time here. We are almost time up on this episode. So we need your prediction as well as everybody else's prediction for this Border-Gavaskar Trophy, which we have been counting down to since the season started in September. So one by one, let's go with R Sridhar first.
Look, I always said this, and I'll say this: if we go 1-all to Melbourne,
Brisbane. Okay, Melbourne.
if you go 1-all to Brisbane, surely. But if you go 1-all to Melbourne, uh, we are winning the series. I
Okay,
know there are
winning the
three
series.
tests, and I'm saying 1-all
Okay,
because
yeah.
I'm just hoping one of that will be a draw. And if you go to 1-all to Brisbane, sorry, to Melbourne, we are winning the series.
Okay, Dubai.
Uh, First things first, I want to see where we are at lunch tomorrow. If it's if Rishabh
Maybe
Pant
it's
is
raining.
batting,
Maybe it's
Wait till
raining
the
because the
audience. Wait
forecast
till
is
the
for rain.
audience.
The
no
forecast is for rain.
no, I don't think so. First session is in the tomorrow. At least it wasn't. So If
Yeah,
Rishabh Pant is batting at lunchtime, I think we are
yeah.
losing this series. If we get beaten very badly, I don't see a comeback from that 36 all out situation. You
We need
don't
to
think
score 300 प्लस.
300,
300 तो
300 plus?
मारना ही है. 300 अगर
300
नहीं
तो
मारेंगे
मारना
तो
है.
अब किसको भी
Yes.
खिला लो, बॉलिंग में फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है.
ठीक
300
ठीक
फर्क
बोर्ड
ठीक
पे
नहीं
लगाना है.
पड़ेगा. Okay,
बिल्कुल
okay, but
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
okay. So fine, quickly your prediction.
I said yesterday also, and I'm saying it again. My heart says it's 2-2. My head says it's 3-1 or 4-1 Australia.
Okay, K. Srinivas Rao, Group Sports Editor, TOI, quickly.
Predictions are always about wishful thinking. So if it's wishful thinking, then we might as well wish that we qualify for WTC. So we are winning 4 tests.
4 tests. Okay, he says 4-0. Wishful thinking. Nitin Nayak,
3-1. My prediction stays 3-1. Australia.
3-1 to who?
Australia.
ये तो बोलो ना to who? Who's winning?
3-1.
Okay,
3-1 Australia.
3-1. Okay, lot of comments here. 3-1 to India, 3-2 to Australia, 3-2 to Australia, 4-1 to Australia. My mom asked me my prediction last night, and I told her 4-1 to Australia. I see India winning one test at least, but this time it's a very, very different BGT. But again, heroes are made in Australia. Let's see how they perform. I'll be up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I hope you guys are up at 7 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow with a lot of discussion on day one of the BGT, as also a special episode at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow, IPL auction special. So do join us for a double header on Beyond the Boundary TOI Sport. Big thank you to R Sridhar, former India fielding coach. We hope to
My
have him
pleasure.
once again through the series on this show if he can spare time. Thank you so much, Sridhar, for joining us
Pleasure
today.
was mine. Thank you, Srinivas. Thank you, everyone.
Lovely
And
thoughts. Thank you.
thanks
Thank
to
you.
KSR, Dopayan, and Nitin as well. Thanks to all of you for sending in your comments and
Thank you.
watching our show. See you tomorrow for the double header on TOI Sports Beyond the Boundary. It's me, Chetan Narula, signing off.